I tap into like what makes me feel good. So this
That's
is like
right.
validation to going,
Okay.
wow, I might actually like be more in tune to my body than I thought I was.
We can get up to 6 years younger by instituting the 7 steps I have in the book for using outdoor time intentionally. We reviewed 2,030 studies. Manual. This is
Okay.
about interpretation of biology. Life inside is biologically mismatched with our biology. We get indoor air and stale light and flat floors and plastic plants. That sends the wrong signal to our brain, sends the
Yeah.
wrong signal to our immune system.
Welcome to Another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. I'm Danielle Kiesling, and in each episode, I connect you with unparalleled access to authentic, credible voices from across the entire world of beauty, wellness, fashion, travel, and mindset. Friends, welcome back to Another Million Miles, the show that we really elevate voices that redefine success, style, lifestyle, international living, travel, health, wellness, everything, one step at a time. So if you've been feeling burnt out, a little foggy from the holiday hoopla, tired even after a full night's sleep, or your nervous system is just like stuck in the go mode, this conversation is probably going to land in a really good way with you. So today I'm joined by a really incredible doctor. John Puma is an MD, FACP, and known to millions of people as ChefMD. So he's a 2-time New York Times best-selling author, which is very impressive, and a professional trained chef and an actual organic farmer, which I find super fascinating. Also the pioneer of a culinary medicine or evidence-based use of food as clinical therapy. Now that's taught really all over the United States in medical schools. So I'm super excited. He's got a new book coming out called Indoor Epidemic that's going to be released in March, on March 18th. And we kind of get a good first dibs and look into what that's going to be like and how that can help you. Without further ado, I want to introduce Mr. Dr. John Puma, and welcome to Another Million Miles. And thank you for joining.
Danny, what a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. First of all, let's talk about, I am so interested in how do you do all of this? Because I know that I do a lot. And, being a 2 times New York bestselling author, being a actual doctor with your credibility and credentials, and then, breaking into this entire, brand of Chef MD, and now, really getting into that. We spoke a little bit prior to getting on air about your balance and your lifestyle. And I think that that's one of the biggest key elements in my mind is like, why are you doing what you do? And how did you get to this point?
Well, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. I have a lot of help. I have a terrific partner here in Santa Barbara, Candy, who just is inspirational in so many ways for me. And I also have learned that I need to choose the projects that I take on and devote myself fully to them, but not choose every project. And as we chatted about before we started the podcast, it's been essential for me to play pickleball 4 or 5 times a week, to train with my trainer 2 hours a week, to walk on the beach with my dog and Kenny an hour or 2 a week. And work in my garden and on the farm. If I don't have nature time, if I don't have outdoor time, if I don't have physical exercise time, I just get in my head, and I'm not nearly as productive. And so I discovered that along the way, and I decided, well, I should share that. I should find out why it is it's been so formative for me to work outside and learn about how things grow, and find that growing things and having them when they're fresh is really the key to great flavor, whether you grow them yourself or the person who does.
Yep.
And In that way, this book, Indoor Epidemic, came about. I looked at 2,000 different peer-reviewed studies and found that there are some missing scientific facts that we've just overlooked
Hmm.
that are, I think, some of the keys to longevity and a root cause of chronic illness.
Yeah, that's actually so. Elaborate on that a little bit. Is it our food? Is it our environment? What is it that you're really tapping into?
Well, there's a little bit about food. And as you pointed out, I was privileged to help pioneer culinary medicine, which blends the art of cooking with the science of medicine to create restaurant quality meals that help prevent and treat disease. We taught the first class, Michael Roizen and I, the founding director at the Cleveland Clinic Wellness Center, and now it's taught in 80% of medical schools. And along the way, ultra-processed food has become what everybody knows about, not just junk food, but addictive and bad for you. There is also something called ultra-processed time, which we've not appreciated until now.
Okay.
Ultra-processed time is like how fast time goes by, how easy it is to consume, how quickly we suck it up, and how little sometimes it means, how we don't pause to savor the time that's meaningful. We
Hmm.
call that ultra-processed time. And we found that nature really is an optimization protocol for superior performance and for longevity and health span. And health span is really what you want, as you know, Danny. It's the time that you're alive, that you're healthy.
Yeah.
Right now, women live to an age of 84 on average in America, 83 most recently. And only till about age 73 are they actually healthy. Between 70 and 83, there's a steady decline. And that 10-year difference is almost the highest in the world, except for Western Europe, 11 years. And we want to prevent that. And we think that nature is the missing link for people who are doing everything right, taking every supplement, using every beauty product, trying to integrate the best anti-inflammatory food, thinking they're sleeping well, but never feeling rested. We think that nature is what they are missing.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me. So when you say nature is what they're missing, are you referring to like being out in nature? Are you referring to like circadian rhythms, like utilizing nature and elements of nature to like get you on track? Are you referring to food and like what you're doing because you're an organic farmer, which I find fascinating. Like what does utilizing nature mean as far as what you're doing, and how does somebody listening to this podcast take those initial steps? Because I feel like we get misled a lot about like what is actual, what is natural, and what it just appears to be natural.
So the subtitle of the book is 93% Inside Steals Your Sleep, Focus, and Years, and 7% Outdoors Restores Them. So we spend on average 93% of our time indoors and only 7% outdoors, outside. And that's about 12 hours a week. But we only need to repurpose that 12 hours a week into 2 to 5 hours a week to have an effect on longevity. So I mean intentional time spent doing specific protocol-driven activities in that 2-hour to 5-hour repurposed time, which currently is incidental time. We
I see.
walk to the car, we walk through the parking lot, we talk to the dog, we go outside to pick a flower or to pick up a piece of trash. None of it has to do with intentional optimization for our brains, for our sleep cycles, for our immunity, for our cardiovascular effects. And most people don't know that 80% of cardiovascular disease is preventable. 50% of all cancer is environmentally derived and prompted, and that also is preventable. And about 40% of depression and anxiety also preventable.
Wow.
That can be done, I think, with specific nature time outside. For example, you asked what can people do right now? The most important thing that people can do is to get outside for 15 minutes in the morning, if they can, and look at the sky.
Yeah.
That sounds weird,
No, I've
but
heard this.
go
Yes.
ahead. Yeah, you've heard that too?
Yeah, I've heard this. Like people say, right, that you should be looking at the sun, and like you. And so tell me about that because I've heard this. I don't
Yes,
I
right.
don't really know enough about it, but
Let me tell you about it, because actually you should not look at the sun. Please don't look at the sun.
Okay.
It will hurt the back of your eyes, your retinas, and cause visual loss. So please don't do that. But
Okay.
instead, look anywhere in the sky, or even work outside. Work in the garden early outside. Go
Okay.
get do an errand around your house outside. Even walk up and down the street if you live in a city, and 80% of us do. You walk outside somewhere, because outside you get between 15 and 25,000 lux, which is a measure of light intensity.
Wow.
Inside, you get about 500. Under artificial light, that seems bright. And that 10,000 is on a cloudy day. So you get stimulation to the back of your retinas, which tells the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is a part in the back of your brain, that you can reset your dopamine level and your sleep-wake cycle. And it helps your coffee work better in the morning. That's the optimization protocol for you, because it gives you a cortisol activation response that allows your cortisol level in the morning to boost. You get a rocket fuel boost of cortisol in the morning, which you want.
Yes.
And then for the rest of the day, it kind of slowly declines.
Okay.
And you've gotten the boost in the morning. And that morning boost also tells your brain at night that it can make melatonin to put you to sleep. That morning light has two functions, and it's essential, it's easy, it's free, and it makes an enormous difference in focus, in sleep, and in metabolism.
Wow. Okay. So you just hit like 3 major points: essential, important, and free.
Essential, important, and free. What's better?
Like nothing is better.
All right.
And I will say, now I'm just like thinking about like the effects of, so when I can relate to that. So I do a couple things, but when I was during the epidemic, when we had more time, I lived close to a beach, and every morning I would get up and watch the sunrise. It was like a routine thing. And I will tell you that I think I was more focused during that time than I have ever been. And I never knew this about like, but that was how I started my day. And now I start my day with journaling, and I do sit outside when it's warm enough to do that. But it's interesting you say that, because when I would get up and I would go to the beach and I would watch a sunrise, and whether it was journaling or yoga or taking a run or whatever it was, I felt like that was such a way. It set the tone for the entire day. So
not only does it set the tone, it reset, as you pointed out, your circadian rhythm.
yeah.
And it resets in your organs. And this is the leading theory of aging now. It resets the longevity clock in your kidneys, in your heart, in your liver, in your major organs.
Okay.
Each of the organs has it's thought, a longevity clock, which allows them to age faster or slower than the rest of the body.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is age slower and
Correct.
to improve our health span, the time that we're alive, that we're healthy.
Yeah.
And we can get up to 6 years younger by instituting the 7 steps I have in the book.
With over 26 years of real life experiences as a thriving entrepreneur, I'm here to bring you sophistication, insight, and expertise into every aspect of your life. This is Another Million Miles, where luxury meets authenticity and every step brings you closer to the life that you deserve.
Book for using outdoor time intentionally. And this isn't just woo or made up stuff. In fact, we reviewed 2,000 peer-reviewed studies to try to identify how nature works for longevity and
Wow.
for each of the underlying root cause of diseases. And it can be through inflammation, which is an underlying disease process for many diseases, heart disease, and even some cancer, certainly arthritis. But it can also be through other mechanisms that we're just not aware of yet. So this idea of getting morning light to reset your circadian rhythm, stabilize dopamine, and prep the brain for focus that works with coffee is powerful. But just as powerful is, as you pointed out, because you do yoga outside, green exercise. That's what we call it. You're working outside, you're exercise. It's green exercise.
Okay.
The body perceives green exercise as 20% less exertion than the same exercise if you were doing it inside, and it gives you a bigger drop in blood pressure and blood cortisol levels if you do it outside.
Wait, is that because you're still getting the benefits of the exercise without this as much stress on the system.
You're not in a confined room. You're not in a, like, this is particularly true for treadmills and ellipticals and that kind of thing, where you are focused, you're right in front of you. It's not terrible doing a treadmill or an elliptical. And if you do one, I think that having the green cycling placed in front of you or the Alps or wherever on the screen is helpful. It's even better to cycle or to do the elliptical with a window so you can look out the window. All of that thing contributes to your green exposure, but it isn't the same as being outside and doing the exercise. One theory is that because we live so much indoors in encased, enclosed rooms, and they're often so airtight, that your carbon dioxide level in the room goes up to over 1,000 parts per million. And that 1,000 parts per million reduces cognitive performance and strategic decision making. In fact, in some of the leading tech companies, CO2 monitors exist inside of rooms. Wow. And when the CO2 monitor gets to a certain number, CO2 fans push out the CO2 and intake nitrogen and oxygen from the outside air, because tech execs know that the brain needs strategic cognitive recovery, and the buildup of CO2 in rooms doesn't help that. So that's common in sealed offices, by the way. And that may also be true in fitness centers where people are trying to do exercise but perceiving greater exertion. One of the reasons for green exercise, one of the 7 steps in the book that we outline that people can take so that they get a strategic and optimization advantage in both health span and in body function and in the reduction of chronic disease.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So I can relate on so many levels of this. With what I do, I might be stuck in a convention center for 3-4 days and I'm getting my steps in. I'm probably over getting my steps in, but like I feel exhausted. My central nervous system feels, I come home and I'm like totally out of whack. Like I want to shut down, and I'm like, why? Like, and it's my central nervous system just saying like, stop, like you're overexerting me. And it has to do with being inside and not being outside, because I actually have a standing desk here in my office with a treadmill, but I actually put a treadmill and a standing desk out on my back deck, and it's just covered, but it's outside. And I go out there now and walk on my treadmill outside, and I feel 500 times better by doing that. And I'm like doing the exact same thing. It's like
you're really not alone. I mean, that's why I think it's so essential to use a prescription idea for how to use light and movement and microbes in the soil and outdoor time like medicine. But again, we're using time incidentally. We need to use it intentionally. And that's why there's this 120-minute longevity threshold, that there's a measurable health span improvement beginning at 120 minutes per week doing things that are intentional.
Okay.
And this intentionality allows you to get morning light. It allows you to get green exercise. It allows you to spend 20 to 30 minutes in a place of choice with your device on airplane mode or just tracking your GPS because you may not want to get lost, but not on getting messages and notifications and pings. I mean, digital obesity is the real epidemic here. We're kind of overloaded with pixels and stuff. And it's not just the screens, it's what's on the screens. It's really a stimulation problem. That's one of the problems for kids, that they are extremely overstimulated by all the digital input.
Yeah.
And we tell people not to have digital stimulation at bedtime. We tell them switch the night shift on your phone use f.lux on your computer, allow yourself to have not bright white artificial light, but red tones instead. Get away from the blue and white. And that helps, but it's not as good as skipping it altogether.
Okay.
And it's not the idea that the screen itself is bad, because the screen itself isn't always bad. If it relaxes you, if you're doing something familiar, it isn't the screen so much as the problem.
What is it?
Stimulation from the screen.
It's a stimulation.
It's the got to do this, got to do that. It's the high sympathetic tone. It's a fight or flight tone. When you're in nature outside, your attention is drawn, not demanded. Your phone demands your attention. The screen often demands your attention. You
Okay.
have a list of things to do. You're pinged, you get notifications, you have bright lights. In nature, you hear something and you kind of drift like in that direction.
Yeah.
You're using your senses in
Yeah.
nature. And here's how you remember your senses. A lot of people forget them. We teach them on tours in the farm, and people always kind of do it with me. They
Yeah.
touch, they listen, they see, they smell, they taste. It's all on your face. So
Okay.
we use our senses in nature, and it engages our parasympathetic nervous system, our vagal tone, which is what
Okay.
you want in order to relax.
Yeah.
And relaxing, by the way, is not just doing nothing. Relaxing is an active protocol-driven process where the brain feels safe.
Safe. And to your point, you talked about say that again.
Parasympathetic.
Sympathetic nervous system. I think that's describe that a little bit more, because there's a lot of devices out there right now that are like actually talking about the nervous system and like calming the
Right.
nervous system, and like
Yeah.
we're talking about like we're diving into more breath work and all this stuff about the central nervous system. So
Yeah.
you're taking something as simple as nature, which I love, because like I am a nature girl in and out and through, and I always have been. I think it can be that simple, but like we as consumers, we're always like buying into like either a drug or a device or something else. And what you said about like it's free, it's there, like nature is so important. So how does that translate? Because I think that's really important for people to understand, that you don't have to like spend a bunch of money or like
No. Yeah.
and how does your nervous system like operate like that?
Well, in this way, there are two types. You have at least two types of nervous systems. One is the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight response. So when you're challenged by something, the proverbial tiger, you want to get up and run away, right? That's good. You need that.
Okay. So cold plunging.
Cold plunging is you engender a sympathetic response. Yes, right away you do. All your vessels contract, you get rid of a little lactic acid, and that's a powerful stimulus to the body to not just cool down, but also wake up in a way.
Yep.
Cool down from heat and engender lots of survival instincts.
Okay.
It's a sympathetic response.
Okay.
Just like the tiger. The parasympathetic response is more responsible for digestion, for relaxation,
Okay.
for sensation overall. And that allows you to rest and digest. That's how the parasympathetic system is described quickly. And that's what nature engages.
Okay.
If you're down the street and a car tries to run you over, you need your sympathetic nervous system to jump out of the way.
Yep.
But if you're walking down the street and it's meadows and flowers, your parasympathetic nervous system kicks in, draws your attention to the bees that are pollinating the flowers, to the wind that's ruffling the leaves. It allows your heart rate to drop, your HRV on your Apple Watch to increase. It allows your baseline metabolic rate to slow because you're safe. And that's what we need a little more of.
Yeah.
You need to feel safe. And that's kind of why we offer 100 science-based strategies, from microdose nature breaks to gardening to immunity to the 10-minute, 15-minute that I offered earlier. And we offer quick, easy outdoor RX, which is what we call our plan, resets for the indoor epidemic. We give away our 7-day outdoor RX reset plan for free.
Oh, wow.
It's not a lifestyle guide. It's your biology's missing manual. This is about interpretation of biology. It's not wellness tips.
Yeah.
We need to become measurably better with how we use outside time. And that's why we spent so much time outlining these simple steps, because our life inside is biologically mismatched with our biology.
Yeah.
We get indoor air and stale light and flat floors and plastic plants. That sends the wrong signals to our brain, sends the wrong signals to our immune system. And this is reversible with even this 120-minute longevity threshold, and optimized at 300 minutes a week.
Okay.
So that's not that much. It's only 5 hours, but it's intentional time. Not, oh, I happen to be outside. What do I do?
Okay.
Do you know, Danny, that on average, a Gen Xer spends 30 minutes a day outside, and a millennial only an hour?
Seriously?
Because they don't know what to do, and it's not their fault. They don't have a good model. and they're using devices all the time. But you can also use your device to identify plants. That's cool. To learn about what you're seeing. That's also cool. To not get lost. I like that a lot. So we're not at all anti-technology. I love technology.
I love technology too, but I'm shocked that that's actually the statistic, because I'm the kind of person that like, if I could work outside all day long, I would. I mean, I like, it's almost a curse when I get back from a trip and I've been inside in a convention center. I'll find every excuse.
Welcome to another Million Miles, your personal lifestyle concierge with credibility. Here we go beyond surface level advice. We dive deep into transformational insights from experts who set the standard in their fields.
Used to go do yard work. I'm the only woman in my neighborhood that mows my own grass, by the way.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, I think, gardening is the most popular hobby in America. 70 million of us in America consider ourselves as gardeners. And that's so powerful because you have your hands in the soil, and in the soil, there's a bacterium called Mycobacteria vacci, which helps make serotonin, which acts as an antidepressant, just like SSRIs do. Tending plants, even if you have a house plant, here it's in winter, even if you have a house plant, a succulent on your kitchen table, that's nature.
That actually is so interesting to me, because I'm not joking when I say that. I am the only woman in this entire neighborhood that mows my own grass. And like, I have relationships with all the men in the neighborhood because they're like, I wish I could get my wife to come out here and mow my grass. And I'm like, I like doing it. Like, and I don't know why I like doing it.
It's because your biology is finally matching to its native environment. You were not born to be in that room or me in this room. We were born, our native inherent DNA is about biologically matching with our circadian rhythm, about meeting people like the men that you mentioned. Meeting people outside nature is social. It's not the Grand Canyon or the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
It's the houseplant on your kitchen table. It's your lawn that you mow. It's the leaves of lettuce in your salad that might have come from the farmer's market, or that you might even have grown yourself.
I know. I totally get it. I love it.
I'm glad. Yeah. So this overstimulation is really the sugar of the brain, right? It's what we want to do is get back to the idea that your body's not broken. It's your environment. Your environment's broken.
Yeah.
These aren't character flaws, right? It's not character flaws. You have bad focus or disrupted sleep or anxiety. It's a symptom of a chronic indoor life. And what we're out to change is people who want to optimize their health using the missing link in longevity, and the missing link for chronic illness, for sleep disorders, for immune disorders, for cardiovascular disorders, for mental health problems.
Yeah.
And we can do it because it is total. We've already seen it. Every time somebody comes to my farm here in Santa Barbara, their shoulders just relax. They speak in completely different tones. They kind of go, I didn't even know this was here, because it is just immersively green. And it takes you away from the city that is just 6 minutes away. And you can do this in your own neighborhood, with a park, with even your backyard, or with a neighbor's backyard. And in Indoor Epidemic, we try hard to give lots of urban clues to how to do this and tips for how to do this in your own neighborhood, because that's where most people live, and it makes an enormous difference to how they live.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100%. I think that, for as much time as I spend in like New York City doing work, I've always said, and I get asked all the time, why don't you live here? You're up here all the time. And I don't have a clear answer to it other than I'm such a nature person. And I know that like, no matter what, like if you live in New York City, you have Central Park, you can go and you're walking, and I enjoy that part of it. But like being inside for me is like, it's so hard. And, so like, this is so insightful to me, because it makes me realize that like, wow, there is a science to it. It's not just me, being like in love with nature. I'm in love with nature because I actually truly like am in tune with my body, and I tap into like what makes me feel good. So this is like validation to going, wow, I might actually like be more in tune to my body than I thought I was.
Yeah, I think you are. Because nature is an optimization protocol for superior performance and for longevity. And
Yeah.
too much screen time, as we said, causes a mismatch between your brain and your biology, where we're
Oh, yeah.
overwhelmed by that kind of indoor isolation. And yet it's fixable with specific green exercise, specific outdoor time that's intentional, with small habits that make major longevity gains and major optimization gains. So we can think about nature actually as a performance enhancer, not just relaxation and nice to have. It's really essential.
It's essential. It's essential. And it's like a way to like really get somebody. I mean, like a lot of the times people will be like, wow, Danielle, you do so many different things with biohacking and cold plunging and saunas and all this stuff. But like, I just don't have the time. I don't have the resources. I don't have the money. And this is the first conversation that I've had with a professional that is like, here, I can give you something for free that can basically change your life. And I think that this is a really great place to start to, for a lot of the people that listen to this podcast on, a lot of this is overwhelming. They don't know where to, like, this is like, seems, with biohacking and all these things that we're being stimulated and thrown at and consumer, marketing. And this is as simple as like you're saying, taking the designated time and making, it's almost like you designate time for journaling and you designate time for certain aspects of your life. Designating time for nature and being very specific to what you're doing it sounds like it's like a really great first step into somebody wanting to like optimize their health and wellness.
Perfect. Exactly right. Yep.
Yeah, that's super cool. So okay, I have two questions for you before we end this podcast. You have a farm in Santa Barbara. So do you actually host events there? Do you invite people to come there? Like what's that all about? Because I love California. I'm meant to live in California. I don't yet. So I want to know all about your place in Santa Barbara.
Well, let's see. 14 years ago, I bought an abandoned nursery that is built on a sand dune. And I didn't think I needed to take care of it because it was a sand dune. But I learned rapidly that it changed quickly.
Okay.
And I became very interested in how to grow things. And so I designed it and reorganized it so it's sort of a university. We have 14 different rooms. You know this from landscape architecture, that there's an olive grove and a citrus orchard and a cider orchard and persimmons and botanicals and medicinals and avocados. And each has a different room with a different theme. And we use it to teach as well as to supply a few restaurants locally that are Michelin starred often. And we are really interested we do host events occasionally, but what we really like using it for is teaching. I organized with UCLA the first continuing medical education course in using nature as medicine with specific skills back in June of 2025. And that's a one-off event. I'm not sure we'll do the CME event again unless there's a lot of interest. But we learned a lot about how to teach doctors and how to teach other adults about the work that we do and how it interfaces with personal health. It's not just growing things that are very unusual and biodiverse, which we're lucky to do a lot of. But it's also like how to put in practice very much of what I cover in Indoor Epidemic, why gardening and farming are so integral to health, and why 70 million of us think of ourselves as gardeners, and why it's the main activity that people in the blue zones that Dan Buettner describes have in common. Those are places around the world with great longevity and great quality of life in that longevity.
Okay. Wow, that sounds amazing. Next time I'm up in that area, I'm definitely going to be swinging in. I think so cool. One last closing statement, like one word of advice that you can give my audience, any words of wisdom, anything that you just live by. What's your purpose?
My purpose is to provide a roadmap to reversing the personal medical damage that our 93% indoor life has done to us, with less than the 7% outdoor RX that we really need. Just that 120-minute threshold gets you over the longevity hump, and 300 minutes or 5 hours a week optimizes it. And the book makes it so easy. We offer hundreds of little resets so that people can take the ones that they want and try all kinds of others. It's really, I think, a missing pillar to our longevity quest, and it will make everybody feel better, just as you said, to watch the sunrise, to get morning sunlight, to look at the dusk in the evening, to relax your eye muscles by looking at the horizon just once an hour for 20 seconds. So many of these little tips. I can't wait to tell you more about it.
I love it. I can't wait for your book to come out. Again, your book is releasing on March 18th. We're going to be definitely promoting it on all of our channels. I will definitely be, where will this book be offered? How can I?
Everywhere books are sold.
Okay. Everywhere books are sold. I love that. Oh, yes, that's right. You are a New York selling author. So I think that that is amazing. That is also something I'll probably be hitting you up on. Like, how do I do that? Oh, no, definitely. It's been such a pleasure to have you on. This has been an interesting topic, something that we haven't actually tapped into at all on this podcast. So it's really, really been insightful. And, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for all of the incredible information that you provided.
My pleasure, Danny. Thanks for speaking with me.
Absolutely. So, gosh, if you are listening and something clicked today with this podcast and you want to take one idea and make it real, don't worry about being perfect, but just make it real. Maybe it's stepping outside for a quick micro reset or taking a light morning walk. Maybe it's getting out in your garden or, getting to the beach and rebuilding your rhythm for purpose. I think that's the biggest thing that we spoke about is being intentional. And, if you honestly enjoyed this episode, share it with somebody that maybe has been feeling a little tired, a little overstimulated, a little stretched thin lately. Make sure that you subscribe to Another Million Miles. You do not want to miss what's next because we have tips, tricks, ideas, and ways to optimize your life in meaningful ways always. So until the next time, have a beautiful day and get on with what makes you happy. So thank you again, and we will speak to you all soon.
Thank you for joining me on Another Million Miles, where luxury and authenticity meet to enrich your journey. This is Another Million Miles, and I'll see you on the path ahead in our next episode. Until then, keep embracing the journey, savoring each moment, keep dreaming big and moving closer to the life you envisioned, and traveling afar.